Hello, everybody. My name's Joel Filderman, and welcome to the Dog Trainers Connection. I'm not a dog trainer, but these other people you see here are. We get together, we have a discussion, we come up with some thoughts, some ideas, but we pick a topic, and sometimes we come up with some answers for it, but we always have an interesting discussion. Well, I guess there really is nothing else to talk about because we're still in the middle of this pandemic. But the weather is turning warmer. So that means that, you as dog trainers can go outside now and work with clients. But people still aren't quite ready, is what I'm kind of hearing. Is that kind of what you're getting right now, David?
To a certain extent, but I'm starting to get a little, more calls with people seeing if I'm willing to come out and meet with them and their dog, and they're not so interested in like a consult or doing it remotely, so to speak, consult wise.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've been trying to, convey to them that it can work. There are certain cases where you kind of need to be there. It's better to be hands-on there, but in this situation, I'm immunocompromised, so I don't want to take any chances. They can respect that.
Okay.
I said, look, I'm protecting myself, but also want to protect you as well. And I explained to them the pros and the cons, if you will, as far as working remotely versus if we work in person. I said, but to be quite honest with you, if I work in person with you, there wouldn't be anything different other than me being there. I'd still have you work with your dog and whatever behavior modification or, basic obedience, house training, whatever it might be that we're going to work on, it would still be basically the same thing.
So what's the hesitancy you've been finding, David? What's the hesitancy in people saying, oh, yeah, let me hire you to work with me online? What have people been saying to you?
Yeah, basically they just can't visualize it. They don't see how it can work. And even when I explain to them, that it can, and I explain to them some of the things we would do, they're still a little bit on the fence. And I think some of it too is I had a call the other day that was for socialization. A combination socialization was a big dog, potentially a big dog. It could be 130 pounds, a bull mastiff. It's a puppy right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was about 12 weeks old, something like that, I want to say. And but it was bullying a little bit, or playing, I should say, with the older dog, that 6-year-old dog. And at first it was no big deal, but now they've had a couple little growls back and forth a little bit, and the owner's getting very concerned because as the dog gets older and so forth, if this keeps on escalating, then obviously this can get out of control. So that was that issue, in addition to the socialization, where she wants her dog to be to meet other dogs, but in a safe way. She's obviously not on board with the dog parks, which there I concur with that as well. But I think she still felt more comfortable doing it, with somebody as safely as possible. And I explained to her, if you are going to work with a trainer, I would definitely recommend doing it with somebody that's going to do it from a distance initially, with the trainer having no face mask, because that can be off-putting. And in fact, she said that her dog hasn't really been outside much because it hasn't had all its shots. So it's actually under 4 months old. And then I started explaining to her there are ways of doing it the right way. She goes, "Oh no, I know. I've been down that road. That my breeder explained to me too." So she doesn't understand that. But she still may come back to me. But we'll see. But even besides this one potential client, they've all had the same kind of vibe, and it's just the last 2 weeks or so that people have been starting to get a little bit more relaxed in this and so forth. So yeah.
Okay. And Steve, you've pretty much been just doing consults, as you were saying before, that people haven't really been hiring you to do the training, like I guess what David was talking about. Am I right with that, or am I putting words in your mouth?
Well, some of them are basically inviting me to come out. From their perspective, they're like, "Come on," From my perspective, it's like, "No, thanks." I mean.
Yeah, you were talking about a trainer who actually caught the virus from coming out before we got on.
I was referring to somebody who I trusted, and he was going out because he felt the financial pressure, which I guess lots of people are feeling.
Sure.
He went and he got sick,
And he was doing dog training as he had been doing it before. Obviously, he's been using him, you know, as much precaution as he can. I'm not sure how easy it would be to use a mask, as a lot of us have talked about on this forum before. So I don't know whether he was or he wasn't, and I'm not sure whether that's an issue or not. But, you know.
Right, me neither. I mean, since, you know, such a funny thing about how you might get it and all that stuff.
Right.
He just made the choice that, I mean, things are starting to open up. Right, all these little phases, right? Phase one, we're going to do this. And I guess he felt like, all right, it's coming back and I need to get out there to survive. And so he went. So I was kind of, in a way, I was happy he was going. I mean, I pleaded with him to be careful. He said he was. And because I had people bothering at me, they really felt that they wanted somebody in their house. I'm like, I'm not going, but I got this great guy. And I feel a little guilty about that now because he got sick. Now, I don't know that he got sick going to a call I referred him to, but it doesn't really matter. He got sick. So that's all I need to know, because he's younger and healthy, and I'm old, so I'm not doing it. But I've had good, I'm having a different experience with the virtual meetings, because I've been having really good success for the most part on these things. I don't know, it's interesting. I had a call from, you know, David, you'll get with this a little bit. I grew up in a house where my parents took in foster children and stuff like that. One of my sisters is adopted. And so we had this boy for about 3.5 years when he was a little kid. And when he went back to his mom, he just kind of stuck with, he always wanted to be a Diller, you know, which kind of cracked me up. You know, he grew up. But he's like an adult, you know, he's like a real person now, like a man with a job and all that. In fact, works for the government. He's an awesome guy. Anyway, his wife called me and said, Steve, he's back from a trip. He was stuck abroad because of the COVID thing. And but he's back now, and we're having a problem with our dog. Can you help me? And I'm like, I didn't even know you guys had a dog. We hadn't talked in a long time. And he says, oh, we have Harvey. He's 15 years old. And I'm like, all right, what's going on with Harvey? And she told me what he had, which was a neurologic thing. And then she took her camera and moved it to the dog. And I looked at this dog, and it was so clear. He had mastitis and stuff. He couldn't open and close his mouth anymore. He had temporal atrophy. You know, he was a mess, and he was like failing. So it turned out that because they live on the Upper West Side, I kind of know the animal hospital that they were going to. And the animal hospital was suggesting, and they were right to do so, a full workup on this dog. MRI, x-rays, more detailed lab work. You know, we're talking about a lot of money, like a real lot of money. And but the bottom line is, after I looked at the dog, just virtually looked at, I said to him, listen, unless you can tell me that those tests are going to change something about what we all know he has, why would you do that? And they said, well, that was the recommendation. And I'm like, it's a good recommendation, but you know what? I need you to call them up and speak to somebody that I know there and tell them who you are to me, and tell them that you want the dog to be put on pred, and you don't really want to like put all these tests into this old dog who's already failing when you already kind of know the diagnosis. Proving it is less important than treating the dog who's failing. And they got back to me in like 15 minutes and said, we contacted the animal hospital, they're working out the dose. I got an email yesterday saying he's almost 100% back to normal now, because he's on his pred, which is, you know, it's not a big deal. You look it up and it says, what is the treatment for this disease process? It's prednisone. Prednisone. It's not like you got to be a genius, you know. So, well, it didn't take a lot, you know. I did the homework a long time ago on this kind of stuff. So, but I could have gotten maybe it was a little testy of me to maybe like suggest that on the one hand, but on the other hand, it is a testament to that you can do some good things virtually without ever being in the room with your hands on the animal. This was like more of a medical case, but I feel good about it, and it all came out of a box. I didn't have to go and like risk my health or anything like that to do it. So I become a big Zoom fan. I just wanted to say that. I know, and I got to thank you guys for teaching me how to use this thing. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Steve, I just wanted to ask you a question, kind of bouncing off of what David said. Do you find that people are balking because they can't visualize how it would work with you, or how the training's going to happen online with you not being there?
I don't show, I tell them, I don't show them. I mean, and if they say to me, I can't see that, like in
Yeah,
mind's eye, if they can't see it, it's
yeah,
on me, Bonnie, it's on me. Because if they don't understand it, I am not describing it clear enough for them. And so I
okay,
go backwards and I try and figure that out. Like, what is it, where am I losing you in this process? Right. And a lot of the rules, I mean, we can go back to the good old John Rogerson stuff, it's like the rules about um, where do you train in terms of familiarity and, when distractions come to the thing, and, just having a sensible training plan so that if you put them in the right mindset, because a lot of times, as we all know, their expectations are sometimes unbelievable. They want their 4.5-month-old puppy to do a downstay for who knows, all kinds of distractions, and they don't know different. So, I mean, I could sit there and try and talk to them, and I'll do it. I'll do it. If they want to learn how to, train stay, I'll talk to them about it. But part of the conversation is, you're not going to get a puppy to be doing this, because by the time you can actually train all the elements to this, it won't be a puppy anymore, because it takes months to do this right. So if you're rushing, I'll give you write it down, but you'll be putting this in the back of the book for a while, or you'll be doing like little baby steps for months to come before you actually get it. If you do all the work that you're supposed to do, it's going to take a long time. So it's a combination of like explaining it well enough, and if you think the questions that they're asking you to explain are really about things that they're really not up to, you need to kind of say that, right? Otherwise, they're going to be mad at the dog anyway. If they think the dog's capable and the dog can't do it, doesn't seem to be able to do it, then
hmm,
take it out on the dog. So you can nix that in the bud by just saying to them, listen, guys, are you kidding me? Puppies aren't doing that. Let's get
hmm,
normal for a second, and let's look at what we can do and what we can't do, so that
Yeah.
nobody gets frustrated and angry and all that other stuff. No reason for that nonsense.
Yeah.
But if they say to me, I can't see it, I'll go over it until they can see it. I'll
hmm.
twist it any way I can, so they're like, oh, I missed that piece. Something. But because they come back to me often enough later with either text messages or another Zoom meeting,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of find out whether or not it was going or it wasn't. And I have to say, knock on wood, it's going pretty well.
Mm.
Excellent.
Okay. And Bonnie, you're still training people online.
Just as I mentioned before we got on, I just have one client right now,
Uh-huh.
and seems to be going well. And but she's the kind of client who will listen, who's really interested in the training process, who will watch videos and say, oh yeah, I really like that concept. I sent her Chirag Patel's The Bucket Game, and she watched it, and I just said, watch it and see what you think. And she kind of prides herself on training and liking to train. So it's rewarding to me. We do, as I mentioned last time, we have our issues sometime with me trying to get her to pull back from the training, because this is a year-old dog who had enough, must have been shuffled around a million places, and but she's got the housebreaking down. Now it seems there's some separation issues, which I knew, kind of sensed in my gut from the beginning. And now she's aware of it, now that the dog's really showing that part of it. And now it's to have to tell her, yes, you need to start doing X, and getting the dog comfortable and trying these things. So she's working on it, and she's home. She's not going out to work, so she's able to do the short absences, and I'm fortunate in that way with her, that but if but she has asked me, she's pulling on the leash. Do you have to be here to work on that?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to do that at home? You know, when you can't take the leash, when you can't go out with me. And so I've told her some things. I've told her if she could get somebody to film how the dog's
Mm-hmm.
pulling out of the house. Is it excitement to go out, or is it anxiety? And to be aware of that, and to just think, for her to look at the body language more, and she's getting into that. So
what I was going to ask you is has she been listening?
yes, she has.
And
She has, and she's had successes, and she tells me about them. And you know, what I always find is that people sometimes don't come out and tell you what their real concern is.
well, sure, yeah.
You know, they don't want to go there. And then at the end of the hour, it's like that comes up. Oh, and by the way, and you're like, oh, wow, why are we talking about this?
The Columbo
ago?
syndrome, huh?
Just one more thing.
Just one more thing.
It's
There
like,
you go.
wow. Okay, that's interesting. I know you all. But you know, then it's okay. Well, we'll talk about that next time, or you know, I'll send you some information. She's good with reading things, and me not trying to put too much on her at once. And I think that's probably the key to, and David, I was thinking about this, excuse me, when you were talking about the woman who called you with kind of a myriad of issues going on, that to kind of be very clear about breaking it down for her.
Right,
that,
right.
You know, we're going to work on X for this first session. And maybe it's a half an hour, because maybe an hour is too much for her. That we are going to, you know, I need to talk to you about this, and we're going to focus on that, and I'm going to give you ideas and hear what you have to say. And maybe if you were clear with her about kind of breaking it down so it's not like this overwhelming thing.
Yeah, because I think I sense that she almost wanted everything done all in one shot, even though that's obviously that's not realistic.
Exactly.
We all know that. So
right. So if you said, I know that I can help you with X, let's have a session, and then we can see where we're at.
Right.
And you know, and if she found that helpful, she probably would hire you for another one. So I'm just throwing that out as
makes a lot of sense.
suggestion.
Yeah, definitely.
To break it down, and for you, then it's less overwhelming for you too.
Right.
So that lends me the question, are people having less patience now? Are people feeling like they want to get everything done all at once, and feeling like they don't have time and they don't have the patience? You know, certainly stress levels higher, patience usually goes lower with that. So is that one of the things that's going on with training right now? And Helen, if I remember correctly, the last time that we spoke, you said you were taking clients in person, and I'm assuming you still are. And has anything changed with that?
Well, things have changed as far as how I'm working with them. I'm not going into homes. So all sessions are outdoors, and I ask that people have masks ready in case we have to get close. So of course, Mother Nature waits until, you know, I get a few clients and then hits me with 90-degree days.
Well, of course.
But to answer your question about the patience thing, people never had patience.
Okay.
They never had patience.
Okay.
But I think it is worse now. I think it's worse because I think now for a lot of people who got COVID puppies, the clock is ticking. They're soon to go back, or they're already go back to work, or they're doing, you know, partial, you know, 3-day-a-week kind of thing. So the clock is ticking, and they want everything fixed, and they want it fixed right away. And we all know it just doesn't work that way.
Is that one of the things that you're finding now? Is that you're getting more of that kind of a client?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. They want, and I get repeated calls from clients for the same thing. They're still nipping. I did everything you told me to do. They're still nipping.
Right.
Yeah, that was 3 days ago.
Right.
I have nothing else to offer you. Of course, I can't say that.
Right.
I mean, I kind of say it without, but I just, have to talk to them about having patience, and that it takes time, and you have to be persistent, and, that's the roughest thing, the nipping. Everyone's complaining about nipping, and, they expect it to be done immediately. And then I get the calls where people saying, I'm squirting them in the face with water now. And I'm really, I try to explain to them that can backfire.
Right.
But, the dog may not tie it to their behavior. They may tie it to the person.
Right. Now, just to be clear, that's not what you told them to do. That's
absolutely not.
That's the Google syndrome.
Or the neighbor. No, the neighbor next door. Or the neighbor.
Okay, fine.
So, and then I have to explain, look, that it may work for now, but it may backfire. The dog may stop nipping, not because they say, oh, if I nip, I get squirted.
Right.
They may just decide that you're the evil person that sprays water in their face, and then your dog's not going to like you, and that can, right. That's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Or it works for a while, and then you make the dog immune, and it stops working. So those are the two paths, and either one is not really that good.
Or it's a lab, and it likes being squirted.
Oh.
So it's nice. Get the bottle. Get the bottle.
You're going to squirt him with water. He's like.
I never even thought of that, actually. Yeah. That's an interesting one.
Some of them like it. You got a goofy lab, right?
Yep. Listen, my Lhasa, he loves not squirted, but he likes like a mist.
Yeah.
Water in his face. I happened to discover that not because I squirted him in the face with water, but I was hosing a plant and I was misting it outside. And he was checking out what I was doing, and he walked right into it, and he's going like this, water. Yeah. So now I know he likes a little bit of a spray in the face.
Yep.
I never would have known that because I wouldn't have tried it. But anyway. So my in-person sessions are outdoors only. I may poke my head in. I ask that everyone wear masks, but I gotta tell you, people are not wearing masks. It's very, very discouraging. People getting way too complacent.
Right.
Even my friends. I had them over outside, just for a visit outside. My husband and I set up the chairs far apart. And then they're like, oh, why don't we all just go inside? And nobody wants to put a mask on. Okay. So it's people are they are less patient. I think they feel rushed to get things done.
Yes.
If they feel like a clock is ticking. Most of them are receptive to doing outdoor classes, but it's getting tougher and tougher if it's hot, And
plus, then you get the summer storms that come up out of nowhere and things like that. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just, I can't wait for the fall, and it's breezy and cool, and you can go inside and have windows open. I don't know. That, and the Zooms, I did a few Zooms while
were they consults, or were they?
They were mostly, it was like 3 or 4 people with new puppy owners, never had a puppy before.
Okay.
So, and I explained to them, there's a lot we can cover. You've got a new puppy. You need to learn a lot, and none of it needs to be hands-on with the dog.
Sure.
So those sessions worked out really well, and I even covered some, one of them we taught hand targeting, we taught sit. Because everyone wants to start teaching manners right away,
Sure.
So, we definitely covered some of those things, but mostly we're covering potty and nipping and, chewing and jumping and yada, yada, yada. So those were good. But now that things are opening up, people are far less interested in, they don't want to do the Zoom unless they can't meet in person because they have an immune issue or whatever. Nobody wants to do Zoom. I shouldn't say nobody.
Right.
It's not, there were people who were willing because there wasn't a choice. But now, now it's like, no, I want in person.
Who knows? Maybe that'll change in the fall if we get that second wave, and it's cooler and stuff where you're not outside. You have to come. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it looks
then they'll have no choice but to go back to Zoom or some other similar platform.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, you really can cover a lot. As Steve was saying, a lot of it you don't have to be hands-on with the dog, but even the stuff teaching the dog basic manners. Sit down, stay. You can coach it. You can talk it. You can demonstrate it with one of your own dogs. And if push comes to shove, I have stuffed dogs. You can do a demonstration using a fake dog. People get a kick out of it. They laugh, but it works.
Sure.
Yeah. And then I have them do it, and I watch them and I can coach them through it. It's not all that different than like when I would do a group class. I explain, I demonstrate, have them try it, and I coach them through it. The only difference is I can't be hands-on with the dog, and that's probably a better thing because, of course, when I do the dog responds, and then I hand the dog back to the human, to the owner, and they can't do it. So I think it's better if I just coach someone through it.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Maybe it'll change.
Well, and I think that leads me to my last question, which is, does anybody see them changing anything within the next 2 weeks, month, whatever it is, in what they're doing? And if the answer is no, and that's the end of this forum, that's fine. But I'm curious if anybody sees anybody making any changes in what they've been doing so far.
I don't think I'm going to do a whole lot of changing. I'm not comfortable going into people's homes.
Okay.
We all know it's, outside the air, things dissipate better. Inside where the air is still, things hang in the air, Right. And so many people are not, I poked my head into a client the other day just to see their setup, and the teenagers are walking through. They're not putting their masks on.
Yep.
And, teenagers, God bless them, they don't feel sick, but I bet half of them carry it. That's an exaggeration, but I just,
we don't know.
I'm not comfortable changing anything right now. So,
anybody going to make any changes? I said, is anybody going to make any changes?
I'm staying the same. I'm definitely not messing around. I mean, I got a friend who's recovering. Lucky that he didn't die.
Right.
Dog trainer went to the house, hey, got it.
Yep.
And now has to kind of rethink. First of all, he's got to wait a while, and so until he's fully recovered, so he feels even safe that he's not a vector of some sort. And in the meantime, he was pretty sure he was only visiting the homes of people who were healthy. Obviously, that wasn't right because he got sick. So, I mean, I can't predict how long. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with schools in September, like all that.
Yeah,
it's going to get more complicated before it gets simpler, I think. And so,
I'm sure it will.
That, let's face it, the people who are home now, a lot of them are home because they have kids, and the kids weren't going to school, and now they can't go to camp, and all that stuff. So people are getting jammed up. I mean, anybody who boards dogs will tell you it's a ghost town in the boarding kennel. There's no going anywhere.
Sure.
So,
that's an aspect of this that people don't usually think about and don't usually hear about, which is interesting.
I mean, if the kids are home, you're home. If there's a virus out there and you don't want to get on a plane or a train or drive somewhere and stay at a hotel because you're concerned, I mean, what are you going to do? You stay home. You stay home. And then maybe staying home makes you a little more complacent in some ways because you feel safe in somehow because you're home. But if you don't behave and you don't wear the mask and you're inviting folks over and all this, I kind of feel like you're begging for trouble. I mean, just today I saw Dr. Fauci talking on TV this morning. I mean, he hasn't changed any of his situation. There was a prediction or comfort. I mean, it's coming back up, and they said it was going to be a rebirth in the fall. Forget the fall; we're not even into the whole summer.
That's correct.
It's not going away, and you got to live your life. I mean, I get both sides of the coin of this.
Sure.
Yeah. At the same time, if you want to live your life, you got to be alive to live it. You know.
Yep.
Right.
So So Bonnie or David, you going to do anything different?
Well, for me, I'm planning to step out and maybe, did something happen with my audio?
Just got a feedback. That's
all right. Okay. I'm thinking of maybe sitting outside with a friend or two, distancing and meeting somewhere, and, you bring your own drink and just to get comfortable with that.
But training wise,
if there was somebody right in my area where I didn't have to go far, and I met them out on a road and could stand back, and it was just one person, they had their mask, I had my mask.
Sorry, that sounds like the beginning of a scary movie, but okay. I met him on the road and he had a mask.
Right. And David, last one. Anything you're gonna do?
I'm on board with Steve. I'm staying home.
You're not
I'm not going anywhere. Yeah,
right.
But I'm gonna keep it simple. Try to break the steps up, make it not so overwhelming for myself and for the client, basically.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, and that seems
Good
like
call.
a good place to leave it. So, trainers, I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you for watching, and please don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. So thanks a lot, folks. Bye-bye.